morning, everyone. My name is Sumit Paprikar, and I'm going to talk today about the framework of project management profession, or PMP, as we say normally. I will start with my introduction. I am doing project management for the past 4 years now, and I'm doing project management of IT implementation, IT managed service, and IT operations. These are the three areas of IT where I have done the project management in the past 4 years. My total experience is little over 12 years now, and half of this 12 years is in Oracle Hyderabad. This is pretty much about my introduction. If you have something specific to ask me, I am ready to answer. Else, we can start with the training. I guess is nothing from the audience. Am I audible properly, or do you want me to talk slowly, loudly? Alright, so I think let's start the training. Project management professional, since this is a demo class, I would give you a brief on what actually project management does. How do you PMI, or rather Project Management Institute, as a body which is, you can say, the godfather of project management professionals. When I say project management professionals, anyone who is certified PMP or who is not certified PMP. PMI is a entity, is an institution which provides the certification of for project management professionals. So either you are a project manager by working as a project manager, or you are a certified project manager if you have certification of PMP. So let's go ahead. I will start with the framework of the PMP. And framework is not entirely for a particular industry or for a particular country or a particular region. Since project management is being used all over the world by every industry, almost every industry, the PMI decided that the framework or the processes or the knowledge areas should be as generic as possible, and these are not the hard and fast tools that you have to apply in your project. They are the guidelines which you can use according to the project that you are working on. So, what's a project? A project can be anything which yields a result or a service or a product, or in layman's term, which has an outcome. It can be as small as making a cricket bat, or it can be as big as making an MNC company. So, if we go by the PMI definition of project management, it is a temporary endeavor which is undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Why is it temporary? Because it has a specific start and end date. The reason it is unique is because every other project has a different characteristic of the product or the service which is going to be achieved in the end of the project. If I give you an example, let's say in construction, in one area I have two projects going on. So the techniques that I'm using may be same, the material that I'm using that may be same, but the design may be different, and hence the end result will be different. That's why every project is unique. Although we say that it has a definite end date, we always, as and when we spend time on a project, we get to know specifics or more details about the things that we understood at the start of the project. That is why we say that we progressively elaborate. It is always an iterative cycle. Everything, whatever we understand at the start of the project, is elaborated as and when we get more information. And of course, every project has a specific time, cost, performance requirements, quality, stakeholder requirements, communication requirements. So these are the, not all, but the main points that you should keep in mind about a project. Since we know what is a project, we can talk about the management of a project. Now, management of a project, you can say that how you use your knowledge to execute the activities of that project to meet the requirements. The requirement, as I said, can be as simple as creating a bag. Someone may say, this is going to be in operations management. I will create bags every day. But the project creating a bag will be creating a bag of a specific requirement requested by. Now, how you use your knowledge, the tools and techniques and the skills to the activities, the project to meet the project requirement as per the client. This is called management of the project. The PMP or the PMI will not give you the steps, will not give us the steps to follow. Then you should do these n number of steps and you will have a successful project. It only serves a supporting structure which we need to incorporate in our projects to make sure we are not going beyond the boundaries as PMI has suggested, and we are making sure that whatever has client requested, we are. As I said, there are no written ways to manage a project, and this is the reason PMI says there are 47 processes which you can use to achieve the end result, or rather desired result. These 47 processes are clubbed or categorized in 5 process groups. We will talk about the processes and process groups later on. I'm just giving you the idea how PMI asks us or supports us in giving the. So project management includes but not limited to collecting requirements, conducting meetings, distribute the project related information, manage the stakeholders, their expectations, manage the scope, time, cost, risk, resources, performance. The most important part of project management is change. Most of the projects will always have change. This is the sole reason why all the processes or all the cycles or all the phases of project are iterative in nature. You cannot say that once I am done with this phase, I will not touch it. If there is a change which is impacting this core freeze module which is done, and it needs to be modified so that it encapsulates the change which is requested. That's why it's progressively elaborated. This is the reason why even if we have an end date, the end date may change. It may be advanced or it may be. There will always be an end date. We will not have a moving target of an end date. It will always be agreed that we will finish this project on a specified date. So this is project management. The role of a project manager as you is the most important to make sure that we are achieving the desired result. The important point in understanding the role of a project manager is what kind of organization is the project manager working in. Organization is, example, I am in Oracle. So it depends on what kind of organization structure is in Oracle. Which will guide what kind of role I will have when I am managing a project. And if we go by the definition, it says the role of a project manager depends on the performing organization. So it doesn't matter you belong to a particular team or a particular LOB or a particular function. If you are assigned as a project manager and there is a team assigned, it becomes a performing organization. You, being a project manager, are responsible for project activities and the result. Project manager, since we are saying that this comes from a performing organization, is still different than a functional manager or an operations manager. Operations manager is, we may say that, is a person who carries his day-to-day activities to give a result which is same in nature. I will not create different things every time as an ops manager. The result that is expected out of me as an ops manager is same. My end result is always same. I am using the same set of activities every day. Functional manager is like a line manager who makes sure that the resources, the budget, or maybe the training or the skills are intact depending on the org structure. Project manager, on the other hand, needs to make sure whatever his sponsor or whatever his executive management has asked him to manage, it can be anything. It can be a part of operations. It can be a part of the job which the function manager is doing. So, the project manager needs to have good interpersonal skills like leadership, team building, conflict resolution, negotiation, decision making. Communication is the most important quality that a project manager needs to have. Most of the projects fail because of communication, either lack of communication or excessive communication. You may argue that more communication is never the problem. It is. However, we are not going to discuss about that. I'm just talking about the role and the qualities of a project manager that should be present. Now, since we are talking about organization structure, there is a structure, there is a team where the project manager looks for support, and that is called project management or office or a PMO. So, this is an office, this is a structure, this is a team, or this may be a person, supports the project manager and make sure that project manager is able to do what is expected to do. This is a management structure. It standardizes the project related governance activities. It will not do the project related activities. PMO is not project team. PMO will not execute the project related activities. It will do the project related governance activities. It will make sure that project manager is doing his activities. If project manager has a problem, PMO is going to step in. And now there are types of PMOs depending on the org structure. They are supportive, they are controlling, or they are directive. A supporting type of project management office is consultative kind. Let's say you are a member of a PMO and I am a project manager. And if your team is a consultative or rather a supportive PMO team, I will consult you and only then I will get help. In other words, you will provide me access to something I have requested. You will not do anything on your own because you are just supporting me. And since you are only supporting and your actions will be reactive, you have very less control on project management, or you have very less control on the project management activities. On the other hand, there is a type controlling. Controlling PMO is more of a compliance officer, you can say. It makes sure that there is nothing wrong in any of the activity of project management, so project manager and his team. So there is control, but the control is with respect to the compliance of processes and policies and techniques and the framework and the methodologies. So you will say that it has a moderate control on the project manager and team. The third type of PMO is the directive type of. This has the highest control. They are active team or active person or active organization who controls the project manager. They are the persons or they are the members who will say you are doing this wrong, or if you are there in the PMO who is directive, you can always come to me and say, boss, you are not doing this correctly. This is how you need to do this. I may not have to come to you to ask anything. You, since you are responsible, you have the authority, you can always say, you are doing this wrong. This is how you need to do it. Or you are not doing this, you need to do this else. So these are the three types of PMO. The primary function of any PMO is to support project manager in any of or all of his activities. Right? Now, project managers and PMOs work will depend again on how the organization is structured. Now, in organizations, there are programs and there are portfolios which are managed, and it is programs and the portfolios which are the driving force behind how or what kind of power does the PMO have, and what kind of a role or what kind of authority the project manager has. Now, what's a program? So, program, you can say it's a group of related projects and activities, or related projects or activities which are coordinated to obtain certain benefits that may not be available otherwise. Example, as I said, I was talking about an example where I'm constructing two buildings in the same area. Everything is the same. My end customer or the buyers are different financial bucket. This is how I will club. They are still two different projects, but I will keep both of them in my program, and I will make sure that every financial bucket is being supported by my program, which has n number of projects to create n number of buildings. So this is a program. Combination of various projects, programs, operations is called a portfolio. Projects or a program inside a portfolio may not be dependent or related. Example, portfolio of an infrastructure company. It will have all the water related projects clubbed in a water program. It will have all the it will have all the power related projects clubbed in a power program. But together, all the power related programs and all the water related programs will come under the umbrella of portfolio. Okay? This is what is the strategic goal of the company. This is what portfolio manager or the program manager will decide upon. We should execute these programs, if we should execute these projects, if we should execute these activities. So these are driven from the strategic goals. Now we've spoken about the org strategy, the portfolio, program, projects, everything. Everything is tunneling down to operations. Operations is the place where everything which is coming from the executive management, the CXOs, whatever is being thought, you can say that it is the project manager who executes. Yes, he does. But actually, once the product is created, once the service is created, once the result is achieved, it is the duty of operations to make sure that the product is being used or the service is being used or the result as requested or as expected by project manager or program manager or portfolio manager or maybe CXOs. Operations management is, you can say, the starting point or rather the end point of everything. It is outside the scope of project management. Ops management is not a part of. I am just going to spend a few minutes. You may have some questions on how to make sure that the work that we are doing is operations and not project, or the work that we are doing is project and not operations. But as such, we will not go deep into the operations. Although since this is the end point where everything boils down to, there are intersecting points between project and operations. At the time of delivery of every project, there will be an intersection point. At the time of each phase closure, at the time of upgrading an existing product, it is a product which is already present in production. The ops team is already working on the service. It is using that service, it is providing that service. If there is an upgrade required of the service, it comes back to the project manager. So there is an intersection point there. Now, who decides what is to be done or when it needs to be done? All of this is decided by a person which is called stakeholder. A stakeholder can be anywhere in project, in program, in portfolio, in CXO. It can actually be outside the client-vendor relationship. I am in Oracle. Let's say my client is Hathway. The stakeholder can be a third-party vendor of Hathway. Let's say their call center team is managed by a company called Serco. Serco can be a potential stakeholder if I am providing a service to Hathway. Because there is in all likelihood, that whatever service I'm providing to Hathway has an impact on the way Psycho team operates in Hathway environment. So what's the meaning of stakeholder? Stakeholder is anyone who is positively or negatively impacted by the project outcome. It can be from any business function, any LOB, any designation, any place which has an impact from the project which is getting or going to be executed is a stakeholder. Stakeholder who have authority are the people who will say yes or no to the result or the outcome of the project. Not every stakeholder has authority. Example, the project team. If you are a project manager, you have an architect, you have 5 developers working with you. Is the developer a stakeholder in the project? Yes. How is he going to be impacted by the project? He is the one who is working, he is not going to be benefiting. The reason he is a stakeholder is because there is an executable coming out of me as a developer. I am impacted by whatever is either coming to me or going out of me as an executable or as an input. Does this make me an authority to give decision? So not every stakeholder is an authority. The stakeholders who are authority are probably executive management, the sponsors, the CXOs, maybe the portfolio team, or maybe the program team. So this is where the strategic planning and the project alignment is done. The executive management thinks about some project or some change in the market or some government regulation which has changed or which has a demand in the market and thinks that this is what we should do and make sure that we create a project to cater to this new demand which is coming in the market. Or let's create a project which is making sure that this change in regulation is not impacting us. So this is strategic planning and the project relationship. Organization strategy provides guidance to the project management because project exists to support the organization strategy. You may say that organization strategy is the one who supports project. It is true, yes. If I start the project thinking that there is a change in the market, there is a demand of, let's say, IPTV, suddenly after 6 months of starting the project, demand is not as much as we had anticipated. The project will be shelved. So if you say that organization is supporting project, yes, it is correct. But project exists only to support the organization strategy. They add business value by strategic planning. Portfolio manager or a program managers align the organization strategy and the project related activities for the project outcome. There are certain factors which play a major role in strategic planning. And the most important, or rather not most important, but very important of these enterprise environment factors. These are the factors which are not entirely in the project team's hands. They are the factors which are external to a project. But these factors impact the project. It can be the market conditions, it can be the constraints or the climate in which the company is working in, or the political problems in the city where the company is. So these are the environmental factors which impact the project related work. The other important factor other than environmental factor is organizational process assets. These are the factors, or these are the points which are mostly they are tangible, they can be intangible also. They are the plans, the processes, the policies, the procedures, the knowledge articles, the artifacts, previous projects lesson learned, historical information of previous projects, containing entire schedule, the risk, the earned value data of previous projects. So these are the process assets an organization has. And the enterprise environment factor are the two important things play major part in any project planning. And so organization structure has very important role to play in how do we use these factors, or how these factors are impacting the structure of the environment, the structure of the organization. Organization structure mainly decides the availability of resources and how the projects will be conducted. There are two major types of organizations, functional and projectized. As the name suggests, functional type of organization is very keen on managing the projects. These are the organizations, every functional LOB or every functional team is a part of an LOB as a vertical. A sales team as a vertical, a marketing team as a vertical, engineering team as a vertical, product management team as a vertical. They are all rolling up to maybe, let's say, a CXO. Are they talking to each other? Maybe, may not be. Are they required to talk to each other? Not required, because their work is not related to the other side. It is not related to what the other LOB is doing. The advantage of this type is, let's say if my project is over, I know where I'm going to work again, because my LOB is there. In other hand, there is a projectized environment where there is complete attention given on how a project is worked upon. There is no functional team or there is no LOB which is there. There is a project which is present, which is there to make sure that the desired result is achieved. The disadvantage is, once the project is over, I do not have a place to go. If a new project is coming, very good, otherwise I will need to look for a new job. So these are the two structures which have their advantages and disadvantages. But you can say that they are extremes, and so we need to have a matrix which will take the good of both and have less bad. So the matrix organizations are the organizations where normally nowadays all the organization structures are following. So balanced matrix is the one that is ideal place to work in. You have a place to go once the project is over, and you still have good chances of working in projects. Strong matrix is almost as good as the projectized environment structure. Weak matrix is almost same as a functional organization structure. So this is how the organization structure works. Now, since we have understood about the organization structure, we can talk about how the project will be managed. The project will be managed by processes and process groups. As I said, there are only 5 process groups and 47 processes as provided by PMI, Project Management Institute. We apply project management processes effectively to make sure the project manager is achieving the desired goal. The 5 process groups are initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and control, and closing. These are the 5 process groups supports project manager to make sure that we are achieving the desired result. The 47 processes are grouped in these 5 groups and are available at our disposal as a project management team. A project management team is anyone who is working on the project. It can be a stakeholder. Yes or no? Yes, definitely. Every project management team member is a stakeholder. Has he become an authority? No, he cannot. He may not. Let's talk about process groups, because this is going to be the starting point of how do we work as a project management team and how a project manager works. So initiating process group are the processes which are performed to define a new project or a new project phase of existing project. So as the name suggests, these are the processes which are executed at the time of project initiation, when the project starts. There may or may not be a project team involved at the time of project initiation, because this is what is actually done by the project sponsor or the executive management. Once the project is decided, we will do X. This becomes the project charter. Then the planning process group comes. Planning process group has the processes which are required to establish the scope of the project. The first job of the project manager is to make sure that he understands what is requested of him to do. He will define the objectives and he will define the course of action. So these are the actions, or these are the processes which are part of planning. Once you've planned the work, you will work the plan. This is where you execute whatever you have planned in the planning group. So the executing process group is the collection of all the processes which helps us to execute and complete the work which is defined in the project management plan. Once you start executing, once you start working, there is a parallel process which monitors and controls. Now, monitoring and controlling processes are not entirely going to monitor and control only executing. Monitoring and control is going to monitor and control every process group. Rather, it will cover entire project. So you can say that monitoring and controlling process is like an umbrella, or it's a big circle where all the other processes are getting worked upon inside. The last process group is the closing process group, which, as the name suggests, has all the processes which helps to formally close the project or formally close a phase of a project. So this is the gist of the framework which is provided by PMI, and as you can see here, the planning processes and executing processes work hand in hand. I first plan how to do, and then I work according to what is planned. There is some input which is coming from the initiating process. There is some output which is going as a closing process. Monitoring and controlling processes are my umbrella, which make sure that nothing is going out the portion, which is making sure that nothing is going beyond the framework suggested by the PMI or PMBOK, which is called Project Management Body of Knowledge. So this is the information, this is the framework for the PMP. If there are any questions, I'm open now.